Welcome back to Pokemon Episode Summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 296, Brave the Wave. The episode begins with Ash alerting all his friends, waking them up as he rushed out of the Pokemon Center with Pikachu the next morning after they had arrived there last night when Mr. Briny dropped them off in Dewford, because Ash was so eager to challenge his second home gym that he just had to head there the second he woke up, only taking time to put on his jacket and gloves before heading out. And also asked Pikachu if he was ready, with Pikachu nodding, confirming. Max and Brock, who had just been woken up by Ash rushing out, tried to follow after him, but couldn't go nearly fast enough, stopping at the Pokemon Center door, asking why Ash was going up so early, with both him and Brock also commenting on how Ash sure seemed eager to go to the gym if he was willing to sacrifice sleep. Though Brock soon stopped himself from questioning any further, realizing that he should have expected this from Ash due to knowing him for so long. Of course he would rush off to battle a gym no matter what. He's done it before. May was clearly the most tired, as she was the last one to make it out of bed, asking what the fuck was going on, not knowing that it was even Ash who had caused all the ruckus. She just heard ruckus going on. Extremely annoyed to have her sleep interrupted. Max simply responded with a question of his own, asking why May was holding a pillow, leading May to look down and realize that she was, in fact, holding a pillow. Becoming flustered and embarrassed as she realized that she was probably so tired that she grabbed her pillow without realizing it. An extremely embarrassed May tried to make up a different excuse as to why she had a pillow, being that she thought that the Pokemon Center pillows were so comfy that she wanted to take one as a souvenir and have one permanently with her. Brock and Max didn't really believe May, but they had more important things to do, such as chase after Ash, who had already arrived with Pikachu at the doors of the Dewford Gym, having been able to find it on his own. Soon, May, Max, and Brock were able to catch up. And the first thing everyone noticed was the entrance arc of the gym, which had a picture of a Machop and Machamp embedded on it and had text that stated, "Fight the Big Wave," making Max believe that this gym leader must be a fighting type specialist, with Brock adding that the gym leader appeared to be very cocky if they were issuing a challenge like that. Although he did agree with Max that the gym leader was likely a fighting type, and began to worry, remembering how tough Chuck was, the fighting type gym leader of the Johto region from Cyanwood City. And Brock became even more concerned, as he theorized that this gym leader could have potentially even trained with Chuck, since Chuck was known to have so many fighting students. All of these concerns led Brock to warn Ash that this would not be an easy match, but Ash wasn't frightened at all, stating that he knew he and Pikachu could handle it, and still pull off the win. So Ash eagerly walked through the entrance gate of the gym and knocked on the doors so that he could go inside, hoping that the gym leader would answer, but instead, he was greeted by a whole bunch of girls with surfboards who came rushing out of the gym, trampling Ash over and causing him to fall down in the process. Ash simply lied there, nearly passed out, as he continued to get trampled on by all the girls with surfboards, when suddenly a man stepped out of the gym as well, also having a surfboard. Having heard what happened, as he apologizes to Ash, though sarcastically jokes that he probably shouldn't take a nap right outside the gym. All the girls then surrounded the man, as Brock fell in love with all the girls when he saw them, as you would expect, and instantly ran up to all of them to try and flirt with all of them, although they all weren't interested, as they were interested in the man that came out of the gym instead. Anyways, as the man saw Ash continue to lie, almost unconscious, he began to get worried, as he really thought that Ash might have just been taking a nap at this point, but this obviously wasn't the case, so he asked Ash what he was doing, leading Ash to reveal that he was just trying to challenge the Dewford gym leader when suddenly he was run over by a whole bunch of girls. This leads the man to laugh and apologize on the girls' behalf again, admitting that they were his fangirls, and also revealing that he was who Ash was looking for, the Dewford gym leader, Brawly. Ash obviously became excited at this and eagerly asked Brawly for a battle, although Brawly declined, stating that he was going surfing with his fangirls, who were also his pupils who he was teaching to surf, and told Ash to come back tomorrow and challenge him. However, Ash rebutted that he wanted to battle right fucking now, and asked why Brawly had to go surfing now and couldn't just push his surfing off until later, leading Brawly to state that the waves were getting way bigger than they were earlier, and he feared that they would go down to how they were earlier in the day, so he basically wanted to catch the waves while they were still super big. Ash tried to express his annoyance towards Brawly, stating that he came from super far away to Dewford just to challenge him, but Brawly didn't care, as he just walked off with his pupils, or fangirls rather, following him to go surf. This just made Ash even more mad, as he began to rant how gym leaders were supposed to accept every challenge, and bitterly questioned why Brawly had so much fangirls in the first place, since he didn't seem very special, just a regular-ass guy who did surfing. May and Brock simply told Ash to relax, with May adding that she understood why Brawly was special, stating that he was extremely cute, and that gym leaders deserve some time off, and goes off to watch him surf. Ash realized that May had fallen for Brawly, just as all his other fangirls had, and was just left even more confused at this, wondering how May thought Brawly was attractive. Brock then rushed off too, knowing that Brawly and May were heading for the beach, just so that Brawly could surf, and therefore, if Brock went to the beach, he could not only interact with all the girls that Brawly was surfing with, but also plenty of other beautiful girls who would be in bathing suits on the beach, and Brock was obviously excited by this, so he ran off, following May. Ash then sighed in annoyance, as he had called for Brock and May to come back, but they were too far gone and too set on what they were going to do. Max actually shared Ash's annoyance with how impulsive Brock and May were being, but said that they should probably just join them on the beach, since they shouldn't risk getting separated. And also, it's not like there was anything Ash and Max could do, not being on the beach, since Brawly was not in his gym, and that was really one of the only other attractions in Dewford, aside from the beach. Meanwhile, at the beach, people seemed to have the same idea as Brawly, noticing that the waves were bigger than usual, as there were already a lot of people surfing, and there were also a lot of people sunbathing as well, including two girls being tourists, who soon walked inside the beach restaurant cafe thing, meeting up with two male friends of theirs, and they all asked for some drinks, going up to the front counter. None other than Jesse and James heard this request and emerged behind the counter, revealing that they were currently working at this beach shop as waitstaff. Team Rocket then introduced themselves to the customers, doing a variation of their motto that involved also talking about the various food and drinks that they were selling, as they also introduced Meowth, who was acting as the cook behind the counter. The customers were obviously startled by Team Rocket's motto, not understanding what the fuck they were talking about, as they hesitantly just stated that they didn't care about who the fuck Team Rocket was, they just wanted some soda and lemonade. Specifically, 2 soda for 2 of the customers, and the other 2 customers wanted lemonade. Once Team Rocket gave the customers what they were looking for, the customers quickly left as soon as fucking possible, because they were creeped out by Team Rocket just introducing themselves out of nowhere, and how fucking excited they seemed, just to be delivering some drinks. Team Rocket didn't care what the customers thought of them, they were just happy to have gotten some money from selling the drinks. Jesse and James showed their happiness by waving goodbye to the running away customers, but their happiness was cut off as Meowth then yelled at them, stating that if they wanted to make a whole bunch of money, as opposed to just a little bit, they should probably stop scaring the goddamn customers every time. Meowth then got even more annoyed when he noticed Ash and the gang on the beach and pointed them out to Jesse and James. Why was Meowth annoyed at this, you may ask? Well, James was annoyed for the same reason as well, being that they wanted to continue selling drinks. They didn't want to bother with Ash and the gang, and they feared that Ash and the gang could interfere with their operation of selling drinks. However, Jesse, on the other hand, was super excited to catch Pikachu, as usual. So this caused a huge fight between Jesse and James, with Jesse being like, no, we have to fucking catch Pikachu, but Meowth interrupts her and states his idea that Team Rocket could come to a compromise. They could continue selling the drinks to fool Ash and the gang into making them believe that they were actually fucking good guys and honestly selling drinks, and then when Ash and the gang least expected it, they could steal Pikachu. Speaking of Ash and the gang, they had all arrived on the beach now, and May claimed that she really wanted to get into her bathing suit already. However, Max tried to stop her, believing that May was literally just going to take off all her clothes and fucking be naked in the middle of public, and then put her swimsuit on, but May didn't listen to Max's concerns, as she took her clothes off. However, thankfully though, she had her bathing suit on underneath already, a green one this time. Damn, I don't know why she had so many bathing suits, but what do you expect? Do you really think May was going to get naked here, guys? Come on. This isn't a Pokemon porn video. You can find that on X videos instead, not YouTube. Anyways, May began happily modeling her swimsuit, bragging about how cute she looked, which obviously made Max uncomfortable. He didn't want to see his sister like this. Once again, this wasn't a sibling porn video, guys. Go to X videos. Okay, anyways, enough with that shit. As for Brock, he had spotted some of Brawly's pupils surfing, and obviously still being attracted to them, he called out to them, hoping that he could get their attention. Though, as you should expect, all the girls just ignored Brock, as they were instead watching Brawly surf while they were surfing. Yeah, that's right, Brawly was there as well, and May was the first one to spot him and alert Ash and Brock towards him. Because, you know, May was attracted to him, so of course, she would see him first. Anyways, as May lovingly watched Brawly surf, and Ash and Brock were observing as well, although Brock was still mostly focused on the girls, Brawly then sent out a Makuhita, and threw out a mini-board for Makuhita to surf on as well. So, Brawly and Makuhita were surfing together. Ash was intrigued by the Makuhita, not only because it was literally fucking surfing, but also because he had never seen it before, so he scanned it with his Pokedex to learn more about it. Upon learning more about Makuhita, especially it being a fighting type, this just made Ash really want to battle Brawly even more, so it made him mad at the fact that Makuhita and Brawly were too busy surfing to battle him. Brawly and Makuhita then managed to reach the big waves that Brawly was anticipating, and Brawly took the opportunity to teach his Makuhita how to surf these big waves, as his Makuhita had never surfed ones this big before. And surprisingly, Makuhita was actually doing pretty good for its first attempt, partially due to Brawly's great teaching, which explained why he had a full class that he usually taught. However, Ash then yelled out to Brawly from the beach, demanding a match.
Makuhita was startled by Ash's yelling, and it caused it to lose balance on the surfboard.
Brawly of course blamed Ash for this, and yelled, annoyed, that he was not doing any battles right now because he was busy helping his Makuhita fucking surf. Makuhita was annoyed at Ash for yelling as well, and this just caused it to lose its footing on the board even more, but thankfully, Brawly was able to focus his attention solely back on Makuhita, instructing it to concentrate on its balance, telling it how to do so, which thankfully allowed Makuhita to resume surfing greatly, along with Brawly. As for Ash, he was immensely annoyed with Brawly and his Makuhita, still ignoring him, and tried to call out for Brawly one more time, only to be ignored once again. So, this just made him even more angry, as he dived into the water to fucking swim up to Brawly and Makuhita to ask them there. Brawly spotted Ash jump into the water, but questioned where the fuck he went and what he was doing when he realized that Ash had seemingly disappeared under the water, only to get startled, along with his Makuhita, when Ash suddenly popped out between him and his Makuhita, having swam underwater to seemingly go faster to catch up to Brawly and Makuhita. And once Ash was there, he demanded another match. Brawly was actually debating just accepting Ash's challenge now, respecting the resilience that Ash had to continue to just try and ask, even putting himself in danger by jumping into the water and swimming towards them. However, before Brawly could respond to Ash's request, a huge wave then hit them all, and making them all wipe out, since Ash, speeding towards Brawly and Makuhita underwater, had messed up the flow of the waves, which caught Brawly and Makuhita off guard, so even they couldn't swim on those waves. This wave then caused Ash, Brawly, and Makuhita to be washed onto the beach. Max was embarrassed on Ash's behalf, knowing that the wave was mostly his fault, while May wondered why Ash was so hellbent on getting the match right away. As for Brock, he was more distracted by Brawly and his Makuhita, as he saw that Makuhita was almost fucking dead, and Brawly was trying to resuscitate it. So, Brock alerted May and Max to this, and the three of them rushed to make sure that Brawly and his Makuhita were doing good. Thankfully, Brawly revealed that Makuhita seemed to be coming to for the most part, and clarified that it should be fine, just a little injured from the wave. As if on cue, Makuhita then woke up. Yay! Just then, though, Ash, who had also been washed to the beach, but got trapped underneath the sand, finally broke out of the sand, right next to Brawly and his Makuhita, demanding a match once again, not wanting to take no for an answer. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, they had unfortunately scared away more customers, which disappointed Meowth, as he declared that they should just stop selling to customers like Jesse initially wanted, and just go after Pikachu. So, Team Rocket got into a little mini boat that they had stole from a nearby sailor, and spied on Ash and the gang with binoculars from the boat. Once Meowth had a good aim on Pikachu and was able to exactly pinpoint the coordinates that Pikachu was located on the beach, Jesse ordered James to fire a rocket-propelled net, stating that James would probably be the most accurate shooter since he was pretty analytical. James happily obliged, sending out a rocket-propelled net which captured Pikachu inside and then pulled the net back to Team Rocket as they held it gratefully. However, Pikachu then tried to free itself from the net using a thunderbolt, but Meowth just laughed, stating that whatever attack Pikachu used on the net would fire back. And this was true since the net was electric-proof and simply just sent any electricity that Pikachu sent at it back towards Pikachu. So essentially, Pikachu was just being hurt by its own thunderbolt. Brawly saw this and was angry at Team Rocket for trying to hurt a Pokemon to any extent, or rather, make a Pokemon harm themselves. So he demanded to know who the evil fucks were, leaving Jesse and James to begin their motto yet again. But Meowth stopped them, stating that if they wasted time with their motto and didn't leave fast enough, Pikachu could always escape, referencing the many times where their motto had caused them to slow down, which led to their downfall. Jesse and James agreed that Meowth had a good point, so they stopped their motto and proceeded to speed away as fast as they could in the motorboat that they had stole earlier. Brawly, still angry though, didn't back down as he ordered his Makuhita to go after Team Rocket's motorboat, and it obliged, jumping onto the surfboard and paddling on it as fast as it could toward the boat. Just as Makuhita was close to the boat, Jesse, James, and Meowth finally noticed him. But before they could do anything about Makuhita then used tackle on Team Rocket's boat and rammed the surfboard into it as well, which shook the boat so much due to Makuhita's strength that Pikachu went flying into the water. Ash and the gang were very impressed by Makuhita's strength, although Ash quickly put his admiration to the side, realizing that he had to focus on Pikachu right now, since it was in the water. So he went up to Pikachu and grabbed it before he drowned, and also freed Pikachu from the net. Yay! Team Rocket were obviously annoyed with having lost Pikachu, but they were even more annoyed as it was revealed that Makuhita's tackle and its ramming of the surfboard into their boat has caused many holes in their boat, which was making the boat sink. So Team Rocket tried to plug the holes in their boat with their hands. Although James got tired and released all the makeshift holes he had patched up, and this caused a whole bunch of water to begin flooding the boat, leading Jesse and Meowth to angrily order him to resume plugging the holes with his hand. But before James could do so, Ash then had Pikachu use Thunderbolt, blowing up the boat and sending Team Rocket blasting off. Upon seeing Pikachu blast Team Rocket off, Brawly remarked that he was impressed with Pikachu's strength, and also respected Ash for how much he and his Pikachu seemed to get along, seeing them celebrate for defeating Team Rocket, and also seeing how Ash ripped off the net containing Pikachu to save his friend. Ash thanked Brawly for the compliments, and also complimented Brawly's Makuhita, admitting that there was no way Pikachu could have been saved if it wasn't for Makuhita's help. Ash then eagerly turned the topic of the conversation back to his gym battle with Brawly, as he asked if Brawly would be willing to battle him now, since Brawly was clearly done surfing after what had happened for the day, and Brawly finally agreed to battle Ash right now, admitting that it was because he really appreciated Ash's great performance against Team Rocket. So with that, Ash and the gang followed Brawly back to the Dewford gym. Once at the gym, Ash was obviously hyped as fuck to finally be able to battle, and decided to do some stretches with Pikachu to calm himself down, since he knew he couldn't focus on the battle if he was too hyped up. As Brock, Max, and May watched Ash stretch, May questioned what Ash's strategy could be, and why he wasn't focusing on that, as opposed to stretching, leading Max and Brock to suggest that Ash likely didn't have a strategy. So, Max and Brock tried to think of a strategy for Ash, hoping that it would help him beat Brawly. So, Brock suggested to Ash that he should use Tailo, since it was a flying type, and flying types were good against fighting type Pokemon like Makuhita. Ash assured Brock that he was already well aware of Tailo's advantage, and confirmed that he planned to use Tailo, and was very confident that he could win. However, May wasn't so confident, telling Ash that Tailo may not be powerful enough to beat even Brawly's Pokemon, even though Tailo had the type advantage, since Tailo didn't have much battle experience. But Ash just replied that he thought May was being paranoid for no reason, saying that his Tailo could obviously beat a random-ass surfer dude, not even giving Brawly much credit. Ash and Brawly then took their places on the battlefield, with Brock, Max, and May watching from a nearby bench, as the referee in the middle of the battlefield then revealed the basic rules being a 2-on-2 battle with no time limit, and both trainers sent out their first Pokemon, with Ash of course sending out a Tailo, and Brawly sending out his Machop, prompting May to look it up in her Pokedex, because she didn't know much about it, and she was startled to hear about how fucking strong Machop was, even for a fighting type, and she warned Ash that it was going to be a tough battle, as she was very worried that Ash would be able to pull out the win. However, Ash just laughed, stating that Tailo could win if it gave it its all, and the battle then began, declared by the referee, with Tailo going for the first attack, a wing attack. This was able to strike Machop pretty hard, sending it flying across the battlefield, knocking it down, although Machop was quickly able to get back up. Seeing how Machop was seemingly almost done from just a single wing attack, Ash got overconfident as he simply just told Tailo to keep using wing attack until it took Machop out, forcing Machop to take wing attack after wing attack after wing attack, but due to its extremely high endurance, which May had read about in the Pokedex, Machop was able to get back up every time it was hit. Brock and Ash were especially worried at how Machop was seemingly still raring to go for battle, despite being hit by like fucking 10,000 wing attacks, and Ash questioned how this was possible, leading Brock to state his assumption that Brawly was probably having his Machop use Bide to absorb all of the wing attacks, and therefore make Machop angry, and once Machop was angry, it could then unleash the Bide. Basically how Bide worked was a Pokemon couldn't attack while it was being attacked, but all the attacks that were damaging it resulted in it being able to unleash a more powerful attack once it was charged up. Ash then got the idea that perhaps Machop would be caught off guard and not able to fully absorb a different attack, so he had Tailo use Quick Attack. However, Machop was able to dodge the attack this time and used Karate Chop and Cross Chop combined on Tailo, sending it flying across the field and knocking it out, forcing Ash to recall it. Max was confused as to how a Karate Chop and Cross Chop had knocked out Tailo, since he had read that fighting type moves were not very good against flying types, and Tailo was a flying type. This led Brock to realize why the Karate Chop and Cross Chop were so powerful. It was because Brawly must have taught his Machop how to surf as well, and during this surfing training, he must have taught Machop how to ram a surfboard into several things, much like how Makuhita rammed into Team Rocket's boat. So basically, Machop doing the same maneuvers in battle that it did while it was surfing gave it an advantage, because it was so good at surfing, so if it replicated those moves in battle, then it could be beneficial. Brock also came to the conclusion that the reason why Brawly's Bide was working so well with Machop was also because of Machop's surfing, stating that since Machop had to control itself to stay standing on a board despite huge waves, it made it easier for it to stay standing when it was faced with hard-hitting attacks. Brock then informs Ash of all this and suggests that Ash should change his strategy from using direct attacks, instead suggesting that Ash should use attacks that didn't make physical contact with Machop so that Machop wouldn't be able to dodge them as easily. Ash rejected Brock's advice, stating his belief that if he just kept using wing attacks and quick attacks and other physical attacking moves, then Brawly's Pokemon would eventually get tired. So he promises to stick to what he was currently doing as he sent out his Trico as his final Pokemon, and instantly ordered Trico to use Pound, and it managed to hit, but Machop simply rolled away after getting hit and quickly got back up. And it continued to roll away as Trico continued to use Pound again and again, with the rolling away being even more effective all the continuous times, as now Machop wasn't even getting hit and was just straight up avoiding all the attacks. But any stray attack it did happen to get hit by, it merely absorbed, strengthening its Bide so it could release a powerful attack. After one roll, though, Ash noticed that Machop was beginning to get tired out from doing too much rolling, and it eventually tripped while it was rolling, stumbling forward, giving Trico the chance to strike with a quick attack, although Machop had just enough energy left to jump and dodge. However, Trico simply used another quick attack, combined with a Pound, both of the attacks hitting Machop from behind and sending it flying. And together, the attacks were enough to knock Machop out, as the referee officially declared that the score was now 1-1, and Brawly recalled his Machop. Ash celebrated with Trico, very happy that the score was now 1-1, as even Brawly had to admit that he was impressed with Trico's skills, and that things were finally starting to get interesting. As for May and Max, they were happy with this recent turn of events, with May declaring that Ash seemed to be doing well now, with Max agreeing, stating that he was appearing to make a comeback. However, Brock had his doubts about this, stating that the only reason why Trico had been able to win the battle was because Machop was exhausted, and Trico was not, since, Machop had battled in the previous battle and all that. But now, things weren't looking too good for Ash anymore, because now Trico was exhausted from this battle, so Ash didn't have the advantage here. May and Max soon noticed that Brock was right, noticing how Trico was gasping for breath, very tired. And then, Brock reminded Max and May, making them panic even more, that Brawly still had his Makuhita left, which was probably his ace. So if Brawly still had his strongest Pokemon left at full health, things definitely weren't looking good for Ash, as Trico probably wouldn't have the strength to fight Makuhita. Sure enough, Brawly did in fact send out his Makuhita as his last Pokemon, and had to do a little stomp to intimidate Trico, and the referee officially declared that the match should resume, as Ash had Trico go in for the first attack, being a Pound. But just like Machop, Makuhita rolled away to evade the attack, preparing for a Bide, absorbing the attack. Ash continues to have Trico try a Pound again and again and again and again, but Makuhita simply just continues to dodge again and again and again, making Ash frustrated, as Trico got so tired from missing all the Pound attacks that it had to stop to rest, collapsing to its knees, stopping itself from unleashing its fucking 100th Pound attack when it collapsed. After a moment of catching its breath, though, Trico had regained a little bit of its energy, allowing it to use a quick attack per Ash's orders. However, Trico hadn't regained that much energy, as while it was charging towards Makuhita with quick attack, it had to stop and rest, allowing Makuhita to grab it with its arms and use a Vital Throw, damaging Trico badly as it slammed Trico to the ground. To make matters worse, before Trico could recuperate from this, Brawly ordered Makuhita to follow up with an arm thrust, which kept Trico down to the ground, unable to get up even after a few seconds. So everyone, especially Brawly, thought that the match was over and that Trico was fucking finished. But much to everyone's surprise, Trico slowly got up, although barely, and used Pound again. However, as Trico rushed in to go for Pound, Makuhita caught it in its hands again and used Seismic Toss, tossing Trico to the ground once again, leading Makuhita to smile, thinking that Trico was finally done. And even Ash thought Trico was truly done this time, and was contemplating giving up the battle to save Trico the humiliation of an actual loss. But suddenly, Trico managed to stumble to its feet, just barely, once again. shocking Brock, May, Max, and Brawly obviously, but making Ash excited as he told Trico to attack with another pound. But suddenly, before Trico could attack, Makuhita began to glow, making Brawly realize that Makuhita was evolving, and this was confirmed as Makuhita stopped glowing and officially evolved into Hariyama, prompting May to look it up in her Pokédex. As Brock listened to Hariyama's Pokédex entry, he told Ash that he should forfeit the battle, as there was no way Trico could win against a newly evolved Pokémon due to how exhausted it already was, and said that Trico didn't deserve to be put through a whole bunch of tough pain when it couldn't even win. So basically stating that Ash's efforts would be futile, and Brawly agreed with this, insisting that Ash should forfeit to not harm his Trico, claiming it was too weak to fight, in no condition to. However, Ash was too determined to win and refused to forfeit, simply telling Trico to use Pound once again. Unfortunately, though, Hariyama just blocked the Pound attack by catching Trico's tail, and then used a Mega Punch and Knockoff combined to throw Trico into a wall, rolling into it, and this impact with the wall was so strong that Trico was knocked out, defeated, leading the referee to officially declare Brawly the winner of the match. That's right, Ash had actually lost another gym battle, his first gym battle loss all the way back in Goldenrod City against Whitney. Damn. Despite Ash's loss, Brawly still commended Ash for his effort in the battle, though advised Ash to get Trico to a Pokemon Center immediately, stating that Ash's efforts may have caused Trico to really outdo itself. So, upon hearing this advice, Ash obliged and took Trico straight to the Dewford Pokemon Center. At the Pokemon Center, Nurse Joy instantly rushed Trico into the ER and put it on a recovery bed inside a blanket, and Ash and the gang watched Trico, who appeared to be extremely bruised and exhausted. And Ash worriedly asked if Trico was going to be okay, leading Nurse Joy to promise that Trico would be okay, despite it taking a lot of damage, stating that a few days' rest should make it feel better. Though claimed that she was only referring to Trico's physical wounds, his emotional wounds may never heal. Ash questioned what Nurse Joy meant by this, leading Nurse Joy to state her distaste with Ash forcing Trico to fight so much, and advised him not to force his Pokemon to overextend themselves in future battles, as that could really emotionally upset a Pokemon, since it was basically just abuse, because, Trico was essentially being forced to battle despite it being hurt. Brock, Max, and May actually agreed with Nurse Joy, as they told Ash that he put up a good fight, and that was all that matters. And they stated that since Ash had put up a good fight, he should have just ended up forfeiting the match before Trico ended up getting severely hurt. With Brock also stating the wise comment that a person should know their limits and quit when they knew defeat was inevitable, to honor their opponent and whoever they were battling with. Essentially, it was like an honor system. If you knew you were going to lose, you shouldn't put your Pokemon in danger anyways. Ash got very mad at his friend's comments, stating that they didn't understand, as he explained that if he were to forfeit, then he obviously wouldn't have put up a good fight. He essentially believed that forfeiting was way too cowardly. Brock simply responded that putting your Pokemon through more danger was what was cowardly, and suggested that Ash and the gang leave the island for a little bit to train, and told Ash that they could come back once Ash had a little more experience or had developed more of a strategy, to the point where Trico didn't have to be put at risk during the battle. Ash rebutted that he didn't need more experience, and that was the entire reason why he didn't forfeit, because he thought that he was super close to winning, and proceeded to angrily rant about how he and his Pokemon actually tried to win and did a whole bunch of training all the time, and yet they had their victory stolen from them by a gym leader such as Brawly, who didn't even care about battling or training and would rather be fucking surfing. And also bitterly added that he would not leave Dewford Island until he won the battle. Max and May were immensely shocked by Ash's angry outburst, as they had never seen him like this, and Brock simply told Ash to knock it the fuck off and quit insulting his opponent like that, reminding Ash that he wasn't normally like that, and advises him to calm down and think about the rude things that he had just said. However, Ash simply told Brock to shut the fuck up and angrily ran out of the Pokemon Center, leaving Pikachu to follow after him, concerned. Once outside, Ash spotted Pikachu, and the two of them went to the beach to take a stroll so Ash could clear his head. After Ash cleared his head, he began to realize that it was his fault that Trico was now extremely hurt, and he admitted that he shouldn't have forced Trico to fight and exhaust Trico as much as he did. Ash was almost crying at this point, feeling terrible for what he did to Trico, when suddenly he was distracted as he heard Brawly shout, and soon looked out over the ocean to see Brawly and his Hariyama surfing, with Brawly explaining to Hariyama how to balance and get used to its new larger body. It's because basically that meant that Hariyama had to start over with surfing, since it was a lot heavier, so it had to do different movements when it was surfing. As Ash continued to watch Brawly from behind a rock, he saw Hariyama not be able to keep its balance and fall into the water. However, it quickly got back up onto the surfboard, with Brawly encouraging it to keep trying and focus on the waves to improve its balance, and with that advice, it was able to stay afloat, being able to surf again. Brawly stated that focusing on the waves was very important, as was focusing in general, stating that if Ash actually focused himself and thought about his moves more and just battled with an overall level head, as opposed to just ordering pound attack after pound attack after pound attack, or wing attack after wing attack after wing attack, Brawly and Hariyama may have actually been defeated. So it was for that reason that Brawly stated that he and Hariyama had to make sure they kept training, even if they were able to beat Ash the first time. So with that, Brawly and Hariyama continued to surf until Hariyama improved even more. So Brawly congratulated it, and the two of them finally returned to shore, where they were greeted by Ash. Brawly greeted Ash back and asked how Trico was doing, leading Ash to confirm that Trico would be fine after some rest, making Brawly glad. Brawly then stated that he and Hariyama better get back to training, and explained that he was going to go surfing again, but Ash told him to wait. apologizing for thinking that surfing was worthless, admitting that he was wrong about surfing, stating that surfing clearly made Brawly a better trainer since Ash didn't surf and he had lost. And also admitted how he felt lost when he lost, no pun intended, and he didn't think that he would ever be able to beat Brawly because of Brawly's surfing. Brawly admitted that surfing definitely did help him, since surfing made people in Pokemon more balanced, quite literally, while also more balanced emotionally, since they were able to use it to train hard while also having fun. So they weren't too laid back, but they weren't too serious either. Laughing to himself that he could never see himself becoming too serious. Suddenly, May, Max, and Brock approach and watch from behind the rock that Ash was behind before, as Brawly proceeded to give Ash advice, stating that if Ash really was that into surfing now, then he should try some form of training with nature on the island as well. It didn't have to be surfing, but basically, Brawly believed that playing in nature was a great way to train. Admitting that surfing was just his way of training with nature, and there were many ways to, stating that the most important thing when training in nature was that Ash worked together with his Pokemon and continued to practice until he mastered whatever nature training he was doing. And gave Ash a warning that he better get to training quickly, as he and his Hariyama were going to get back to surfing for real now, and once they got good enough at surfing, even better than they were now, they would be unbeatable both in surfing competitions and battle competitions. Ash was very grateful for the advice, so he thanked Brawly as he and his Hariyama rushed back into the water, and with Brawly and Hariyama gone, Brock, Max, and May went over to Ash from behind the rock and asked if he was feeling better and calmed down now. Ash confirmed that he was calmed down, and also admitted that Brock, May, Max, and Nurse Joy were right about Trico, apologizing to May, Max, and Brock for all the rude things that he said to them. Ash then revealed that even though Brock had suggested that he leave the island to train, he wanted to take Brawly's advice and use the nature on the island to his advantage and train around it so that he could eventually become strong enough for a rematch against Brawly. And Brock, May, and Max were more than happy to support Ash in doing this, as they all agreed to stay on Dewford Island for Ash to train until he was ready to take on Brawly again. The episode then ends with Ash making a fist and punching his arm into the air as Pikachu smiled at him, and Ash declared, promising to himself that he was going to train hard and beat Brawly one day, and he wouldn't leave the island until he did. Yay, character growth. That's rare in the Ash saga.